And also, there was an incident that it's important to reflect on it. This incident was the elections. The elections where the Al-Iraqiyya won 91 seats, Al-Maliki's State of Law coalition won 89. The government of Maliki requested that they have to recount the ballot. The SRSG, who overseen the operation of the elections, stood for UNAMI, stood for the principles. He declared that the elections were fair and just, and that there is no need for recounting. Al-Maliki never tolerated this to the then representative of the Secretary General. He requested that his mandate will not be renewed, and this is how we ended up with a new Special Representative of the Secretary General, who came and straight away learned the lesson that in order to achieve anything in Iraq, you have to accept whatever the Prime Minister al-Maliki dictates. And from the very first day, this is the policy. UNAMI became just an instrument for closing down Camp Ashraf. I was the first person who drafted the first draft of the MOU. And I could assure you, Mr. Chairman, that the signed document was not the draft we agreed on with the Iraqis. The MOU was simply a document that was agreed incommunicado, in camera, between the SRSG, Special Representative of Secretary General, and the Prime Minister himself. So there was a fundamental change in the content and the procedure of the MOU. Camp Liberty. I was the first person to go and visit Camp Liberty. And I reported that Camp Liberty it is a detention center. Now, my visit to Camp Liberty, I always said that this is extremely unacceptable, particularly when we know. We talk about relocation. It's not relocation. It's an eviction. It's a forcible eviction. There is a difference between an eviction and relocation. Relocation is consensual. It's in accord, in agreement with that. But an eviction, it's a forcible eviction, and the United Nations has standards and rules of conduct on how to implement a forcible eviction. The basic element is that people who are evicted should be compensated with similar standard or better. In any circumstances, not less. But Camp Liberty, I was the first one to visit it. I reported that it's absolutely unacceptable. It's a prison-like. But just not to waste your time, Mr. Chairman, I just want to read to you one paragraph of the working group of the United Nations, the Council of Human Rights in Geneva, who dealt with this issue. And their conclusion, I read, the working group considers that there is no legal justification for holding the above-mentioned persons, and meaning Ashrafis, and other individuals in Camp Liberty, and that such detention is not in conformity with the standards and principles of international human rights law, and more specifically violates Article 9 of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and Article 9 of 10 of the Convention on Civil and Political Rights. And I was on the 30th of August, before this working group, testifying that their finding is absolutely correct and absolutely in line with my experience in UNAMI having visited and having worked in Ashraf and Camp Liberty for 3 years and a half.
Could you explain how the United Nations is able to maintain an independence in face of a regime which is obviously now making more and more demands from the Maliki government? And do you consider now the United Nations not to be operating independently of that government, or are they now, which we would say, are the stooges of the government?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I do confirm here in front of you that UNAMI has no independence whatsoever, that every issue dealt with regarding Ashraf is decided at the Prime Minister's office, and sometimes at the Iranian embassy in Baghdad.
The Iranian embassy in Baghdad, I think that's an important point for us to underscore.
And I have to testify that from the very first day SRSG Kobler arrived to Baghdad, he tapped me on the shoulder and he said, "Hi, Mr. Ashraf," meaning I'm going to deal with you very soon. And in fact, he dealt with me in a sense that he reached the point where he removed me from every mailing list of UNAMI. As a chief of, as in charge of the fight, the leader of the team on Ashraf, I had no access to any information, any report, any document that is circulated related to Ashraf. Not only that, I was banned from visiting Camp Ashraf and Camp Liberty. And it was at that stage I decided to resign because I don't deserve my salary anymore.